Hi everyone, it's Vicki. Welcome to my channel, and today I have some pretty specific cruise content, so I know that this video is not going to be for everybody, and it is about onboard credit. So if you're interested in hearing about that, stick around. I'll tell you what I know and my experience, but I will definitely remind you to read your specific cruise documents or talk to a consultant for the cruise company you're working with, because it may vary a bit by cruise lines. If that is not your jam, if you have no intention of ever going on a cruise and you're not interested in how to get credits on a cruise or how they're awarded, how they're spent, then yeah, this video might not be for you, but you're welcome to watch it if you like. So let's get started. Seasoned cruisers, you may think you know all about onboard credits, but stick around for this video because you might find out something that you didn't know, and that thing you didn't know could be worth up to $100 to you. So let's jump in. Okay, just for general knowledge, for folks who don't know, an onboard credit is kind of like money. It is money, but I say kind of like because you can't just withdraw it and get cash. But it is a dollar amount that the cruise company puts on your onboard account. When you go on a cruise, you can either put a credit card down to cover some, incremental expenses or many expenses, depending on how you're cruising. Or you can actually go to guest services apparently and put cash on. I've never done that. And then you can get cashed out of that. I've always just used my credit card. And so at the end of the cruise, whatever I've spent, they bill me for on that credit card. So that money is to spend on the cruise ship only. So it's kind of a use it or lose it scenario. It can be part of a promotional package, or it can be purchased by somebody and gifted to you, like a friend. They can put, basically they're essentially like putting money on your credit card sort of thing, only in this case it's your cruise account. You can also get it as an oopsie. Sometimes if the cruise company makes some sort of mistake or there's some sort of issue with something, they may give you credit as a, we're sorry. And that's, when they have a faux pas, they're trying to cover the inconvenience to you. And we had that in May when our cruise was canceled. They, Holland America gave us a $200 onboard spending credit for the next cruise. Another European cruise, Northern European cruise. If we were to rebook, we'd get, each $200. So that was a total of $400. So they do that to make amends when something goes wrong. But I'll talk about how that worked out a little later when I'm describing how to use the cruise credit. One of the things you cannot use a cruise credit for, that I know of on any cruise, but I could be wrong, but I've never seen it. I've never known of you being able to use cruise credits in the casino. Now, we've only visited a casino like 3 times out of 18 cruises I've been on, I think. And the money spent was minimal. So being able to spend cruise credits in a casino have never been a concern to me, so I've never looked into it. So just reading some of the disclaimers, I do see casino usually lit. Now, I've read some debates online on different cruise groups about whether you can use them to pay gratuities or not. Gratuities are charged to you. Either you can pay them up front before you go on your cruise. It's called prepaid gratuities. Or each day they bill you gratuities. And that's based on how much you paid for your room. Like a suite is going to have a higher amount. And that's distributed to everybody on board, not just your person who serves you dinner or your person who cleans up your room and makes your bed. Those are everywhere, because a lot of the people who work on a cruise ship you'll never see. The majority of people on the cruise ship you'll never see. Now, our experience with that has been that what you see is this credit when you start, and then you see your credit decrease each day as those types of charges are on your account, as well as a drink charge. If you don't have a drink package, or if you exceed your drink package, because a lot of them, it stops at nothing over $9 or $11 or $15, whatever the amount is. And say it's a $11 limit and you buy a $12 drink, then some of the drink packages would charge you the additional $1. Some of the drink packages would charge you the whole $12. Just depends. You have to be very careful when you read about these things, how they work. Other things that would decrease that amount of credit that you have showing could be shore excursions, any purchases you might have made, any sundries, like if you went and bought some sunblock or something like that. Or if you go to a specialty dining restaurant, that's going to take a big chunk out of that. So from our experience, what I do is I look at the television screen usually once or twice a day just to keep track of what's going on, and make sure there's no mistakes, because I hear people talk about that, getting charged for drinks and they didn't buy any drinks or something like that. And I have seen those charges, decrease my balance. I've never seen them separate the gratuities, but I don't know, maybe there's a way at the very end, if say you had $200 of cruise credit and you only spent $100 and all the other charges on there were gratuities, maybe they wouldn't count it toward that. We've always just spent an amount that exceeds the cruise credit, so it's never been an issue. But it seems like if it didn't cover the gratuities each day, then it wouldn't decrease by that balance. So it depends on the cruise company, and like I say, always look at their documentation. We usually pay those gratuities in advance, or we usually get them prepaid by the cruise company as part of a promotion. So but I can say the times that they have been charged daily, they have come off of whatever credit balance we've had. And I can't even remember what cruise lines those would have been. We end up mostly using ours because we're not big drinkers, but we mostly end up using ours for like coffee, photos, and specialty dinings if we didn't get any included with our promotions. And even if we did, maybe we only got, like on this cruise coming up, I think we only have one specialty dining, and maybe we'll go to 2. So then that second charge would be on our account. And yes, we have left a few dollars behind, meaning if you don't spend it, you lose it. It's not real money. It's like, I think of it like Monopoly money. You can spend it on the cruise, but once the game is over, it doesn't mean anything. You can't take it to the bank. That's my way of thinking of it. And if that bothers you, it does bother some people, just remember, it's called onboard credit. I don't necessarily get excited about onboard credit. Like if the cruise is $900 and I got $100 credit, I like to think, oh, so the cruise really costs $800, which isn't really truly the way it is, because if you could have gone on the cruise and spent nothing, you can go on a cruise and spend nothing but your base fare, other than the daily gratuity. But it just feels like overall it reduces the cost of your vacation, because chances are you're going to buy something, you're going to have some charge. And what it's helped me do sometimes is just rationalize in my head paying a little more for a better room. Like there's different grades of the same type of stateroom, and maybe one is $100 more, maybe it's $200 more. If you get a $200 cruise credit, kind of offset the cost. What's happened to us recently with I'm petting a dog here, with the onboard cruise credit is we didn't get one, and again, I'll tell you more about that. British Isles cruise. We ended up not getting that, and I'll explain that. But when I called my personal cruise consultant to inquire about that, when the cruise was canceled and our plans were canceled, she said, that anyway, I'll get into that. But what she did say is, there is a promotion out there right now, that wasn't available when we signed up for the cruise, and she gave us that, and that was $50 each. So we each got $50 credit for our upcoming cruise. Then around Memorial Day, I think it was Memorial Day, I don't think it was 4th of July, but it was one of the two. I was reading on some Facebook cruising groups about people getting onboard credit for military service. Now, I think we got that, I believe, on Princess when we went to the Panama Canal. I think I sent somebody Jerry's DD-214 and he got a credit. So anyway, so I called the personal cruise consultant and asked her about that. She said, well, that's not available for every cruise. Those are specific cruises. But she gave me the information on where to send a request and a copy of his DD-214. And she says, and see if you can get it. But she couldn't give it. So I looked at the promotions they had going, and it looked like that was for sailings out of San Diego, very specific. But I said, oh, what the heck. I have, cruise is upcoming, I'll just, on this Alaska cruise, I'll just send it in and see what they say. And sure enough, they gave it to him. They gave it to Jerry. He got $100. So now I have 50, Jerry has 150. So then, and that made me very happy because my husband's a Vietnam veteran and he really hasn't gotten much, I don't know, the appreciation, gratitude for his service. When he came back from Vietnam, it wasn't exactly, those of you who are of age, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who are younger, not all veterans returning from wars are treated equally. There was a lot of, getting behind the veterans of World War II, not so much Vietnam. And, people say thank you for your service, now, many, many years later, but that wasn't the case at first. So I'm glad that he gets some recognition. And for me, getting that for him was more, it was more the principle of it, to get him a thank you of some sort, some gratitude, more than it is $100 on board spending credit. And once that worked, I shared that on that Facebook group and other people were able to get it too. So I feel good. That means there were other veterans who didn't know that they had, some gratitude available to them. So I'm glad that they got it as well. And also at that time, they were doing one that were for first responders. And people kept getting that stuff kind of mixed up. They were two different programs. There were first responders, nurses, police officers, firemen, just that group, firefighters, that are considered first responders, and they had something for them as well. So that was great. Okay, so let's just say you're not military, and so you don't qualify for that. You're not a first responder. You don't qualify for that. There is another way that onboard credit is available to anyone who is willing to invest, and by that I mean to buy stock in a cruise corporation. We recently bought 100 shares of Carnival stock. Now remember, Carnival is the parent company of Holland, Princess, some others. But those are the three that we do. So we bought 100 shares. The shares the day we bought them were like at $8.60. So we spent about $869. So we spent less than $900 and bought these 100 shares of Carnival. It's listed as CCL. Well, Carnival has something going, and they've had it going for years from my understanding from other people. I just never did it. But, when the stock market was down, and especially cruise lines, I said, well, it'll do two things. It'll give me a good stock price, and maybe it'll help boost them as well. They could certainly use it because they had a tough couple years and even a tough return. So we got that. So I sent a copy of my purchase of those to both Carnival and to Holland, because we have a Carnival and a Holland cruise coming up. And 100 shares gets you $100 onboard credit. Because I sent it in, they put it all on mine. So now remember, I had 50, Jerry had 50 and 100, so he ended up with 150. And now I have another 100, so I have 150. So now we have $300 of onboard credit for our next cruise. Now our next cruise is only 7 days. The excursions are already paid. We have a drink package. We have Wi-Fi. We have some specialty dining. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't spend it all. And I think we prepaid gratuities. So, but it's there if we want to get something. I mean, a lot of people the last day will shop and spend the rest of their onboard credit. So what I'm saying is, for an $860-something purchase, we've already received $200 back. I'm going to call it back on that. So it sort of reduced the price of the stock now down to $660. Another 6 cruises and it's paid for the stock, if you want to look at it that way. Actually, now that I think about it, we'll probably spend half of that on photos or something, because if we have nice photos taken, because photos can be expensive on the ship, And the last thing, part of it I want to talk about is because even experienced cruisers may not realize how onboard credits work. So I want to back up to when I talked about our canceled cruise and them offering us $200 each to rebook, and we did. So we had a British Isles cruise for May, I think, and it got canceled by Holland America because they used our ship, the Bullen Dam, to house Ukrainian refugees. Can't complain about that. And they offered us another cruise. You could really do any cruise, but they offered up a specific one, the one that was going to Iceland. And I got really excited because I really like that itinerary, yada, yada, yada. But if anybody watched my channel knows I ended up in the hospital. So when we booked that the one that went to Iceland and Scotland and Norway, they gave us each the $200 because we had rebooked. When we canceled that and didn't rebook another Northern European type cruise, then we lost that. So I couldn't take that 200 and apply it to 200 each, which is 400, and could not apply that to the Alaska cruise. It didn't work that way. That was given with a condition that we are booking another like Northern European cruise. Yeah, I just kind of assumed that we had this $200 just sitting out there for us, and we didn't. And I think, you know, when I called to inquire about that, our personal cruise consultant, Jen Wagner, she found us $50 each though. So just to wrap it up, I think the thing to know that's most important to know about onboard credits, first is to know what is out there, you know, what's available to you. Second is to know what you can and cannot spend your onboard credits on, and that can vary, so you got to look that up. And third, to know if you can like protect your onboard credits if you have to cancel and rebook. So those are kind of the three things to know. And I think the probably the most important is to rush out and find out if you're booked on a cruise, if you qualify for something. So I just want to say thanks for watching my video and enjoy your voyage.